Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. New United Nations envoy to Yemen hails the meetings held by the Sultanate to achieve peace in Yemen. The direct linking between international navigational routes and Almas Yuna dry port is completed. And with the aim to communicate with farmers, the agriculture caravan is set to visit the wilayas of Barka, Suwaiq and Sohar. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. The new United Nations Special Envoy for Yemen gave a press briefing held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the presence of journalists and media personnel. More details in the following report by Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai.
In his current visit to the Sultanate of Oman as part of the tour to the region, Mr. Martin Griffiths, the new United Nations envoy to Yemen, gave a press briefing held this afternoon at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He said the purpose of his visit at this stage is to learn and understand the priorities to resolve the conflict in Yemen. He added that his mission is to find agreements between the parties in Yemen.
It is to find agreements between the parties in Yemen so that they can stop the war and begin to build peace. This is a great privilege given to me by the Secretary General of the United Nations, who has a very personal commitment to the future of Yemen. He remembers his visits to Yemen in his capacity as the High Commissioner for Refugees and retains a very positive experience of the people and that country, and as a result is passionate about the chances for peace. So in these first weeks, I'm listening to everyone I can possibly meet. I was a week in Sana'a. I began in Riyadh. I will go back to Riyadh next week after a visit to Abu Dhabi. And my impression from all those I have spoken to is that there is a real desire for peace, a real desire for an urgent political negotiation to stop this war and to end the suffering of the Yemeni people. And the United Nations is a servant of all those who want to resolve conflicts and build peace. Our role is to serve those whose leadership will make that happen. The United Nations, from its charter, believes profoundly that it's the people that own the future of their country. Yemenis first is the principle that we follow.
Speaking about neighbors of Yemen, Mr. Griffiths said,
all the neighbors of Yemen want a stable Yemen, a prosperous Yemen, a Yemen at peace with its people and its neighbors.
The United Nations envoy added that Oman is a special neighbor to Yemen. It has a history of dialogue and openness.
Oman is a special neighbor to Yemen. It has a history of dialogue and openness. And I am impressed by the meetings I have been having the privilege of having here yesterday and today, that to hear and to reconfirm exactly that. I will be having the honor of briefing the United Nations Security Council in 10 days' time, and I am quite certain that the collective vision of the members of that illustrious council is like we hear in Oman, like we hear with other neighbors of Yemen, and like we hear from Yemenis, it is a vision of peace, and peace sooner rather than later. I am quite sure of that.
The former Foreign Office diplomat has a wealth of experience from several high-profile UN positions and is a leading expert on international mediations and conflict resolution. Wishing him all the best for peace in Yemen. From the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I'm Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
Thank you.
Almas Yuna Free Zone affirmed the completion of the direct linking between international navigational routes and Almas Yuna dry port, which will contribute in investment movement in the zone. That came during the meeting of His Excellency the Minister of Commerce and Industry with investors in Almas Yuna Free Zone. At the meeting, it was revealed that the activating of customs checkpoint between Salalah Port and Almas Yuna Free Zone will contribute in achieving a qualitative shift in importing and exporting processes in the zone, in addition to serving time during the commercial transaction processes between international ports and Almas Yuna dry port. In the field of providing infrastructure for Almas Yuna Free Zone, works of developing first and second phases were awarded, in addition to asphalting roads there at a cost of 6 million Omani riyals. Oman Broadband Company also floated a tender for providing internet and telecommunication services. Rural Areas Electricity Company also floated a tender for establishing underground power cables and an electricity distribution station. The minister also held a meeting with male and female entrepreneurs of small and medium-sized enterprises in the zone in order to discuss challenges being faced by them and work to ease these challenges and provide good investment environment for these entrepreneurs. The Sultanate, represented by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, won the support case raised against its exports of polyethylene terephthalate (PET) to the Canadian markets. The case summed up that the Canadian Border Agency presented an international appeal on the government of the Sultanate support to the products manufactured by Octil Company. The one-year investigation results showed that there is no such support provided to the concerned company. The ministry stressed that it continues working to protect its export rights in various fields from such unfair practices. With the aim to communicate with the farmers, the agriculture caravan will visit the wilayas of Barka, Suwaiq and Suhar. The caravan's activities, which were launched by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth, will continue for 3 days. More details in the following report by Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
Towards optimal use of production inputs, the theme of the agricultural caravan launched by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth, from Muscat to the wilayas of Barka, As-Suwaiq and Suhar. The caravan seeks to enhance communication between agricultural research and guidance, farmers and the community to identify the obstacles and agricultural needs.
This caravan has a big and essential role in spreading awareness and will benefit the farmers, especially in the field of using fertilizers and choosing the ideal types.
The caravan aimed at farmers and workers dealing with fertilizers and pesticides, and university, college and school students. In addition, the caravan aims to raise the efficiency and expertise of farmers in the use of fertilizers and pesticides, and identify the types of fertilizers and modern methods in use, as well as the dissemination of technical recommendations to optimize the use of fertilizers and pesticides, which will in turn contribute to overcome the constraints of production facing farmers. The caravan includes lectures, workshops, and an exhibition for specialized companies and associations related to the agricultural sector, as well as a specialized section for small and medium enterprises and student groups to introduce technologies in the field of fertilization, irrigation, and water management. The caravan also includes a mobile laboratory specialized in water and soil analysis. For the Sultanate of Oman Television English News, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi, Muscat.
Still to come in our news bulletin. Evaluation of teams from the Governorate of Ad-Dakhiliya in the Scouts and Guides Excellence Competition for His Majesty the Sultan's Cup is completed. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Syria's military released a video it said showed troops advancing on Douma from the frontline town of Rihan. The video allegedly showed troops reinforcing positions in Rihan and moving on the road connecting Ibn Sina hospital, a hospital in the Adra area near Douma. Douma is the last town still under the control of Army of Islam rebel group. Activists, rescuers and medics reported scores of people had been killed in an alleged poison gas attack on Douma. The Syrian government said the claims of the attack late yesterday were fabrications by the Army of Islam. The army, which is advancing rapidly and with determination, said it does not need to use any kind of chemical agents. Syrian government forces resumed their offensive on Douma on Friday after a 10-day truce collapsed over disagreement regarding the evacuation of the Army of Islam fighters. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing today. Guterres is scheduled to also meet President Xi Jinping and visit the China Peacekeeping Police Training Center. The UN chief also plans to address the opening session of the Bao Forum for Asia, a Chinese-sponsored annual gathering for political and economic elites on tropical Hainan Island. Guterres and Wang exchanged remarks about rising global tensions in a conference room at the Chinese Foreign Ministry, with Guterres complimenting China on its international engagement. He said China and the UN shared the same view that global problems need global solutions. Fire officials said a man has been killed in a raging apartment fire at Trump Tower in New York City yesterday. Fire officials said a 50th floor apartment at the Midtown Tower was virtually entirely on fire when firefighters arrived after 5:30 p.m. local time. They said a man who was in the apartment was taken to a hospital and later died. 4 firefighters suffered minor injuries. President Donald Trump tweeted earlier that the fire was very confined. Trump's business is based at Trump Tower and his residence is there, but he has spent little time in New York since taking office. No member of the Trump family was at the building on Saturday. About 200 firefighters battled the blaze. Now back to some more local news. The 30th of April this year will witness the start of Oman Energy and Water Exhibition and Conference, which comes under the title Smart Management of Energy and Water Systems. The event will be organized by the Public Authority for Electricity and Water in cooperation with Oman Expo Company. It will focus on renewable energy techniques like the project of producing electricity through wind energy, which is considered the first of its kind in the GCC. It will also discuss latest developments in the Sultanate as well as plans, policies and strategies to benefit from renewable energy resources, especially after the Sultanate's success in using solar power in Mira project implemented by Petroleum Development Oman. Around 150 local and international companies will participate in the event, through which the Sultanate seeks to highlight investment opportunities of public and private establishments working in electricity and water sectors. "50 student projects that simulate innovation in environment protection were presented by engineering college students in the Sultan Qaboos University and a number of universities from inside and outside the Sultanate in the 8th Engineering Forum. These projects focused on beach protection, recycling chemical waste, and innovating ways of manufacturing that limit environmental pollution. The continuation of such forums stresses that a number of such projects contributed in saving the community, especially through the support of bodies concerned, as well as participation from Gulf Cooperation Council countries. The forum will be accompanied by a number of activities that will contribute in exchanging knowledge and expertise among the participants. The event was presided over by His Excellency Mohammed bin Salim Al-Toubi, Minister of Environment and Climate Affairs. Three main pillars were discussed in the Future Vision Oman 2040 in South Al-Sharqiya Governorate session. This gathering targets all social segments in the Omani society. Here is a report by Sultan bin Saif Al-Sarai.
The Future Vision Oman 2040 was held today in the Wilaya of Sur in South Al-Sharqiya Governorate as part of All Oman initiative, which focuses on enhancing the participation and interaction of different social groups from all around the Sultanate at shaping and developing Oman 2040.
Omani women have participated in the development of the country since 1970, and we are continuing in the development of the country in the vision of 2040. We are seeking for participating with our ideas, our values, our needs, and the country development in the vision. So we are looking for being in the process of decision making and changing whatever issues need to be changed to go parallel with the global development in the whole world.
For the implementation of the royal directives, relevant committees were formed to prepare the Future Vision Oman 2040, including the main committee, technical committee, and sectorial committees. These committees have been divided into the themes of the vision, namely people and society, economic and development, as well as governance and institutional performance.
Those three pillars of the Oman 2040, we brought them here so that we can discuss people in the initiatives and how they think about their future, how they think about 2040, and how they look also to the different initiatives that will take us from what we are now to the future in a very confident way.
Members of the three committees comprise more than 100 people from various stakeholders representing all segments of the Omani society, such as walis, governors, government bodies representatives, a Shura Council, the State Council, and municipalities council members, students from higher education institutions and schools, and businessmen. Sultan bin Saif Al-Sarai, Wilaya of Sur, South Al-Sharqiya Governorate.
The Committee of Monitoring and Evaluation of Scouts and Guides Excellence Competition for His Majesty the Sultan's Cup completed evaluation of teams in the Governorate of Al-Dakhiliya. More details in the following report by Saleh bin Khalfan Al-Rahbi.
Competition for the Cup of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Saeed, the greatest scout of the Sultanate, has surpassed the limits of competition. This competition has become a working method through which the Commission for Scouts and Guides is keen to embody the mission of the Scouts movement in the service of the community and to spread the spirit of loyalty and belonging among the Scouts.
This competition is very important. It has different aims, and one of the most important aims is to empower young people in different life skills, and it is also helps to increase the visibility of Scouts and Guides movement in the community.
The Monitoring and Assessment Committee observed the qualified scout teams in the Governorate of Al-Dakhiliya and visited participating schools in the wilayas of Bidbid, Samail, Bahla, Al-Hamra and Nizwa. The committee also examined the capabilities and talents of the scouts and guides that qualified them to participate in this competition. The scout camps, scientific and practical productions, projects and traditions prepared by the qualifying teams reflected the advanced level achieved by the scouts and guides of the Sultanate. The scout movement contributes to the formation of students in a sound manner to be supportive of their societies. For the Sultanate of Oman Television English News, صالح بن خلفان الرحبي, الداخلية, Governorate.
Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Partly cloudy skies will prevail over the northern governorates. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of South Sharqiyya, Dhufar and Wusta. Winds will be south to southwesterly, light to moderate, while seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. New United Nations envoy to Yemen hails the meetings held by the Sultanate to achieve peace in Yemen. The direct linking between international navigational routes and Almas Yuna dry port is completed. And with the aim to communicate with farmers, the agriculture caravan is to visit the wilayas of Barka, Suwaiq and Suhar. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.